be in the video. Coward. What is up, my fellow farms autists? This is my Arken SH4 on top of my Savage, and
Hello, cat.
Anyway, we will do a quick review over this today on why I believe it is about as much scope as you can get for the money. So like most of you, I have a mortgage, I have vehicles, I have other expenses. I can't afford to just drop $2 grand, $1,500 on top of the lens scope. I need to get as much as I can for the money. I am a value buyer. That is really where this shines, I think. It's a very good scope, all around, good scope. But where it really shines is how much you're getting for the money. So I got mine a couple years ago on Amazon. It was on sale, and it was, a couple years ago, everything was cheaper. I got mine for like 250 bucks or something crazy like that, which is like suspiciously cheap, Looking at Amazon now, they're like mid threes. Off the Arken website, they're low fours, still very reasonable. And I think even for people who are really on a budget, knowing how much scope you're getting for the price here, it's a no-brainer, really. If you don't know what you're getting, you're tempted to roll the dice on that $250 scope. If you really know what you're getting here, there's no reason not to. This is the benchmark, really. So anyway, price, untouchable. Clarity, the lens clarity, I'm not a huge snob on that, really. But what I can say, though, is that I have a friend with a $2,000 scope. I can't remember the brand. Sorry, apologies. But he's a Night Force guy. I don't know that one's a Night Force, but that's the kind of tier he works with. His $1,500, $2,000 scope, we were shooting at 800 yards, and there wasn't a ton, but there's a good bit of mirage. I was able to see just as well, if not slightly better, through my scope as he was with his. So, maybe around the edge of the lens, maybe there's a little bit of deformation, but that really doesn't matter. I care about what's in the center of that scope. And, I was hanging with the best of them there. So, lens clarity is, you can see other videos, lots of other clips of guys looking at, 100, 200 yards. No one cares. 700, 800 yards, that's where you really start to see the difference. And this thing, great clarity, especially if there's no mirage, great clarity out to 700, 800 yards. So I'll throw in some clips here, some hunting, some other different shooting I've done. Hopefully get you a good idea of that. Unfortunately, my parallax was a little bit off, and I wasn't zoomed in quite as much as it could be to really do the reticle justice and the clarity, because I knew I wasn't going to be able to shoot at this deer, unfortunately. He was on my neighbor's property, but you get the point, Not being able to see the reticle, you can still see pretty good clarity out to that 400-yard mark. The next thing that I would like to point out is your control station as you are shooting. So turrets can really make or break obviously it doesn't affect your clarity, shouldn't really affect your accuracy, but just how user-friendly the experience is behind the gun. So suppose first thing we'll go over here is our zoom. I have the 6-24 model. It turns a bit stiff, I will say. Granted, it's not a speed style scope, so it's not the end of the world. A little firm, but doable. I have another Cabela scope that is far worse than this one, so a little stiff, but I will take it. The next thing, parallax again, a little stiff, not too bad though. But anyway, the increments here work out pretty well. They are fairly accurate, I would say. Some cheaper scopes, you're at 100 yards, you'll set it to 100, it'll still be a little bit blurry, you kind of got to play around with it a little bit. With this, I do find it to be very accurate, very consistent. And then my Infinity obviously works. From 6, 7, 800, I didn't hit anything, but I shot at 1,000. The Infinity covered it very well. The parallax does work on this very well. The elevation. This is my first scope having good detailed turrets like this, and I really, really like it. So first thing, this goes for both the elevation and the windage, is very tactile clicks. There's no doubt about it. You know if you hit it or not, and it's really easy if you're just sitting behind the gun to just count 1, 2, 3, 4. It's great charts, love them. Windage is the same way. This does have a elevation stop that you can use the screws here. You can set the 0 for the elevation. One problem that I ran into there is I was out shooting. I was hitting a little bit high actually, and because I had my 0 set, I couldn't adjust for that. Obviously, if you're hitting low, you can dial, it's as if you're shooting at longer ranges, you can dial up. When you're hitting high, you're boned. So I took that off. However, what I later realized is that, let's see if I can get you to where you can see. Anyway, it's hard to see exactly, but there's hashes down here. And so if you make a full revolution, you can see the air off of that line. And so that's all I look at. Granted, it's pretty rare for me to make a full revolution, but should I do so, I just look at that. You know, when I'm zeroed for 200, if I'm out to, 400, 500, I'll be doing stuff like this, and I'll just be able to see that, but obviously my number's off. If I get clear out there, oh, hey, I'm off, bring it back. So I do like this. I didn't even realize it was there at first, but I do prefer using that over the elevation 0 set, whatever you want to call that. And then the next thing that I will point out, illumination. I thought this was kind of bougie at first, didn't really care to have it, and I immediately found it useful, and I actually quite enjoy having it now. So there's been a few times now where I was out hunting. Obviously, I've taken low light shots with iron sights. You can make it work. It's very doable. But it is nice though. It's something you don't realize how nice it is until you have it. So it's there. One thing I don't like, sometimes you accidentally take that off, but one thing I do like is it's off 1, off 2, off 3. So you don't have to go clear to one end to the other to shut it off. You can just click it off there. So the illumination does look very good. Let me see if I can get you a clip of that here real quick. All right, there you go. I forgot to mention, this is the first focal plane, so the reticle will zoom as I zoom in and out. It is currently on 10 power, and I am obviously looking at an illuminated reticle in a well-lit room. This is on max power, like I said, in my office. Daylight, it would probably be not particularly bright, but in daylight, why are you using your illuminated reticle? At night though, it's more than enough. I'll show you a clip of that here in a minute. Just lights up the crosshair, not the entire tree, but in my experience having the couple times that I've used it, a fully lit tree, it's a mess. It's too much for your eye. Lots of times it blows out the quality. Just the illuminated crosshair is more than enough here. Don't ask me what I was doing here shooting at night because I don't remember. That said, with the illuminated reticle, it was still very doable, and it's pretty cool seeing the sparks fly when you shoot the steel target like that at night. Definitely don't get to see that typically. Now, as far as the pros are concerned, the last thing I want to cover is the overall durability slash build quality of it. Obviously, quality is kind of a thing, it's kind of mixed in throughout, but as far as like a durability aspect, one thing that comes to mind, I was shooting off the roof of my pickup. I was kind of crouched on the toolbox and I was shooting off of the top of the roof. And I need to go run under the target to look at some things. And so I left the rifle perched up on the roof. And as I was walking away, I heard something. I turned around, and I left it on the bags just like this. And I turned around just in time to see it fall off the roof and land on my toolbox like this. This is a hefty gun, getting my delt raises in here. Fell about 3 feet, boom, lands on the tailbox, falls down. After that, it is perfectly fine, perfectly zeroed, everything still tracks perfectly well. I try not to beat it up on it too much, obviously, just try not to be a dumbass, but from just a couple of incidences like that, it held up very well. VSO, he had the 5 to 20 or something, whatever the smaller zoom version is. He beat the hell out of his, held up just well, very well. There's no issues with that in my mind as far as durability, regular old bumps and drops and whatever. And then the last thing, as far as kind of just like general quality, is I already mentioned the turrets, how well they track, not just the positive clicks, but also in like if you do like the box drill maneuver, whatever, you shoot a group, you dial down and over, and you shoot again, it should be down an inch, over an inch, and that's exactly how this is. It tracks very positively. I zero everything out, it always comes back. I may not touch this gun for 6 months, I come back and my zero is perfect. When I built this gun, when I first put the scope on, I was still breaking in this barrel, and there'd be a little bit of variation. Typically my cold bore would be a little bit off, but that was really down to the gun. Once the barrel warmed up, it was always pretty consistent. I always ended up coming back to my zero. And now that this barrel has broken in, and my cold bore really isn't a thing, it's very consistent. My cold bore shot goes right in with the rest. If I'm shooting at 200, I never have to dial. It's going exactly where it should. At 400, I dial my 400 yard elevation and it goes. Very, very consistent. Like I said, I try not to beat on it, but whatever bumps, whatever conditions, a cheap scope, even if you don't think you did anything, you might have variations just from one range trip to another. This one, no issues whatsoever with that. So, and like I said, that's having it on here for a couple years at this point. So, and I do shoot a fair amount. Numerous competitions throughout the year. I hunt with it every now and then. So, I beat it around a couple times and it's held up very well. So, now as for the cons, obviously stiff dials. I already mentioned that. Not a big deal. The only real cons, as far as like an engineering aspect, are the size and weight. This is a very large scope. I got the kind of sunshade on here. That's the last few inches, but even still, this is a large scope, and it's heavy. No doubt about that whatsoever. I was okay with it on this build because this is a very heavy barrel. This gun is going to be very heavy regardless, and so I was like, okay, what's a little bit more, But putting this on, let's say you have like a 5 pound, real light build, or even like a pretty standard 6.5 pound hiking, hunting rifle, something you might be going out in the mountains with. The the EP4 line, I believe, that might be where you'd want to go for a build like that. I love this thing. Like I said, the price is hard to beat. The quality, magnification, everything is great on this, but it's heavy. So, like I said, for me, it worked out. I didn't overlook that. I was okay with it. But if size and weight is a serious constraint, probably not the one. Like I said, the Arken EP4s, I think they're a little bit more expensive off the top of my head, but not that much. That's probably where you'd want to go if you're trying to keep it light, trying to keep it compact. This is a heavy beast. So overall, this is a very good scope. I definitely would recommend it. It was actually recommended to me by a guy who shoots F-class, shoots mile, shoots, very serious competitor. And even he said, you can't beat this for the money. And so I was like, you know what, he says it's good, I'll give it a shot, and I absolutely agree. For the money, 10 out of 10, can't beat it. Overall, with the size and weight, maybe it's an 8.5, 9 out of 10, in totality. But, when you, like I said, when you're paying $300 for this thing, it's really hard to beat. So, The tracking, the durability, the clarity, the magnification, the 6:4 is great. I like the turret design, the reticle design. I really do like everything about the scope. Tolerating the weight. Yeah, I absolutely would recommend it, and do not hesitate. If it overall is what you're looking at, you think on paper it fits, absolutely go for it. This is definitely would recommend. So anyway, I will see you guys in the next video.